Since the creation of the internet, every industry has been turned upside down. Amazon changed retail. Uber changed transportation. YouTube changed video forever. With the invention of crypto, money is next. At the speed technology is growing, the future of money and securities are digital. 9 out of 10 millennials do not trust banks. The value of money relies on trust. Government debt is higher than it's ever been before. Central banks continue to print money. Fortunately, the world has a new solution. Experts predict in 7 years, 10% of the world's economy will be in crypto-based assets. Today, 1 billion people have access to the financial industry. Crypto is about empowering the other 6 billion people by banking the unbanked. Do not underestimate this. Do you wish you invested in Google, Amazon, or Netflix before anyone ever knew about them? $1,000 invested in Netflix turned to over $500,000. At Tokenmetrics, we help you find the next Netflix. Tokenmetrics users think differently about investing. They are early adopters looking for financial freedom. They are people who see a better world. A world without international borders. We believe in a world where everyone has access to the next financial revolution. At Tokenmetrics, we are creating a bridge that gets you to that revolution. We will help you make sound investments in this new world. The world's best investors do not rely on their intuition. They embrace technology and AI to invest. Tokenmetrics uses AI to find invisible patterns in data to help you invest and trade in crypto. In the past, we have used our data-driven system to achieve financial freedom. Now, we are giving you the keys. We created Tokenmetrics to be the only platform you'll ever need to make money in crypto. We give you AI and access to crypto experts at the best price. The moon is not the limit.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the HODLing show. We have a very special guest, repeat guest actually on the show, Alex Mashinsky, who is the founder of Celsius. And today we're here to talk about why crypto is needed, especially in times like this. We're definitely dealing with lots and lots of tension and uncertainty. So having experts like Alex here, who's quite the entrepreneur, being able to share his perspective is great. So this is a live stream AMA. So if you would like to submit your questions for me and Alex, please go to menti.com. That's MENTI.com and use the code 67206. That's 67206. All right. Alex, how are you? Welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you again, and hope you're staying safe and healthy.
Yes. I mean, it is pretty chaotic here in Maryland, outside of DC. Everything is shut down pretty much, besides groceries and gas stations and just essentials. How are things with you?
I'm in New York as usual, and the streets are empty. I can tell you all I'm hearing are sirens. The Starbucks are closed. The restaurants are closed. And so very little activity. Look, this is real. I mean, this virus, it's the first time in 4.5 billion years since this planet was created that this virus is on this planet. So anyone who thinks how this is going to turn out doesn't know what they're talking about. This is a serious event. Empty.
All right. So for those who may not know who you are, give us a quick intro on who Alex is.
So first, I'm an immigrant. I came to the States 32 years ago. I built several businesses, mostly venture-backed, created voice over IP, used by 4.5 billion people, and decided to focus on money over IP, right? That's what you were talking about, how we're moving from the traditional internet to the blockchain. And I started Celsius Network, which is a community-based effort to basically replace the existing financial system with something that always acts in our best interest.
Okay, now I think people might miss that. So, what is voice over IP? That's basically software like Skype, now. Like Zoom, right?
Using it right now, yeah. So any kind of service. I mean, the world back in the 80s and 90s used to use TDM, time division multiplexing, and the internet was just this tiny little ideas. The entire internet ran on the TDM network, and everybody thought that putting voice on the internet was just a dumb and crazy idea, right? And I was in my 20s, and everybody was going for ATM technology and frame relay technology and all these other things. And I was sure that the internet, the public internet, the open, decentralized internet is going to win out. And the same thing applies today, right? I mean, are we going to go for private blockchains like Libra or JP Morgan, or are we going to go for the public blockchain, which is what I think we're all cheering for, which is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so on.
Yeah, that's
good.
good.
Think same movie again and again, you know?
All right. So how did you discover cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin?
So I was running a company called Groundlink, which was Uber before Uber. And we were basically, and one of my employees walked in with the white paper, Satoshi's white paper. I think it was end of 2009 or beginning of 2010. And I read the paper and I was like, this is crazy. This is never going to happen. You need so much electricity. It's so inefficient. And you need so many people to use it at the same time. I just didn't get it, As a technologist, I created many technologies, and it's always about faster, cheaper, and better. And here was something that was slower, more expensive. It was the opposite of everything we know and we follow as technologists. So it's very difficult to kind of reset your mind. But after Mt. Gox, I realized that I was totally wrong about it. And I started paying much more attention to it, buying coins, investing in projects, advising some other projects. And then I realized that the industry was not, in my view, going in the right direction, meaning what we were doing in crypto is recreating Wall Street, recreating the financial system we already have, just creating more and more toll collectors instead of creating a platform that actually acts in the best interest of all the users in the world. Like Voice of IP acts in the best interest of all the users. It charges nothing. It gives you the services for free. It allows free communications. Anyone can talk to anybody. We can do the same thing with money over IP. That is my mission in the crypto world.
That's great. So what time frame was this when you got your first Bitcoin or crypto?
So I bought my first Bitcoin like right after Mt. Gox, so 2013 or 14.
Wow, that's pretty early. Very early.
Yeah. The bad news is that I thought I could time the market and sell it just at the right time. And I wish I had all the Bitcoins. I wish I sat on my hands and listened to my own advice, the HODL. But we all learned the lesson that you can never time the market. It doesn't matter how good you are.
Yeah.
If you time it right once, that just gives you that confidence that you think you're going to time it again, and that's when you fail, right? You sell it just at the wrong time, or you buy it at the wrong time. And really what you need to do is just average your buys over time and make sure that you HODL. Bitcoin returned over 9 million% in the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
That's 2,000 times better than the best stock on Wall Street. You mentioned Netflix. Netflix is a champion of champions. It's an Olympian of the stock market, and it did 4,000%. Bitcoin did 2,000 times better if you took the same dollars that you put in Netflix, even if you found that company, right, the day it was created, and you just put it in BTC, would have done 2,000 times better than Netflix. So these are I'm not saying put all of your assets there, but I'm just saying that cryptocurrencies, and especially decentralized solutions, allow the average Joe, right, me and you, to get into these projects. I would never be able to get in on the A round for Netflix or the B round for Netflix, right? Those are reserved for the very, very selective few VCs in Silicon Valley. So that norma does not exist in cryptocurrencies, right? We can pick, we can participate in the project. All of us could have bought into BTC or into ETH when it was created.
Okay, now let's kind of delve deeper into why crypto is needed, especially in times like this, because we've had the narrative that crypto and Bitcoin are safe havens, but they've been going down just like everything else. I mean, I've already shared my opinions with my community. I think strongly that Bitcoin and crypto will really show their need once we experience possibly hyperinflation and stagflation, because all the analysts on Wall Street predict we're going into a global recession due to, I would say, not quite the coronavirus, but the coronavirus, COVID-19 popped the bubble, basically. And we think, who knows how long is the whole thing will last, whether it's 6 months or 12 months or longer. But as governments keep on printing money with quantitative easing, people, I think, will gravitate more and more to a different alternative for a current currency. Now, what's your take on that? What do you think Bitcoin and crypto is needed in times like this?
First, I agree with everything you said. I agree 100% that that is what's happening. I think, just to add to that, that because the crypto community has too many speculators, and it's the same speculators that are buying and selling Bitcoin on BitMEX or on all these leveraged exchanges that are also trading in stocks and bonds and all this other stuff, that's what makes the assets be correlated, right? For example, the Celsius HODLer community, we don't see anyone selling. We see continued deposits throughout this process, right? We have, again, we just announced we are profitable. We've been profitable this year. We're going to have a record March in both in revenues and in profit, and that's because again, our community just looks to earn more. The hodler community looks to earn more from the fact that there's high volatility. But the speculators, the guys who are buying and selling, right now they're just liquidating. I saw a stat from BitMEX that 99% of their longs got liquidated as the price of Bitcoin flashed to 37.40, I think, or whatever was the low point. 99% got liquidated. I mean, that's just crazy statistics. So we flushed through these speculators. We're left with the hodlers. We're left with people who are in this for the long term, who are here to for exactly the reasons you mentioned. And because of that, I expect much lower volatility in BTC because we already went through taking the medicine, right? I think the stock market, the other markets have not yet gone through that. So we're just in a different phase of the market. I think the bond market already went through, flushed through when you saw that the 10-year rate go below 0.5%. The Bitcoin market went through it. I think even the gold market went through it, silver as well. The market that is still in denial is the stock market. And we're going to go through a 50% reduction, at least a 50%, maybe even more, before we're going to see a U-shaped recovery.
Wow. I mean, yeah, I think things are definitely going to get worse before they get better. Now, quick disclosure, I do have a Celsius account, and I think I do have some Celsius, probably $20 or less. Just a while back, I was trying out the account, so I just want to make that quick disclosure. And speaking of Celsius, let's talk about Celsius. I think in times like this, I just read an email from, I think, Defiant, talking about DeFi. And they were saying in times like this, DeFi lending and other platforms in general, I think lending is really, really big right now, because if you're able to just have a very low return, whether it's 5 or 10% annually in times like this, that can save money So how is Celsius performing in times like this?
So first, I want to give you credit because you picked this project out of, I think you had over 1,000 projects that you were looking at and auditing,
Mm.
and I think it was September of 2017 when no one even knew what Celsius was, and you did your deep analysis. I remember, the write-ups and the spreadsheets and everything else, and you really, I think, did a great job explaining to the community why this project is special. And we were like in a litter of, I don't know, probably 300 different ICOs at the time, and you picked us out of the litter and said, this pup is special, treat them differently.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for that. And look, we invented this category of interest payment. I know everybody's calling it lending, but it's really not lending. While other people were lending you dollars against your Bitcoin and charging you 24%, Celsius came and said, no, we're going to pay you for your Bitcoin. And when you need a loan, instead of 24%, how about we charge you 5 or 6%, right? So we basically took the business that other people were doing that looked just like Wall Street. That's what the banks do. They charge you 24% on your credit card for no reason. And we said, they're ripping you off. This business, asset-backed lending, should be 4 to 5%, max 6%, right? And when you're not lending, when you're not borrowing against that asset, you should be earning 3, 4, 5, 6% against your Bitcoin. Celsius still pays the highest interest. We paid more interest in Bitcoin than anyone else. We paid more interest in ETH than anyone else. And now, because we set the bar so high, we pay 80% of what we make to our users and depositors. Everybody else, we forced everybody else to act in the best interest of the community, because to compete with Celsius, they had to pay you even more, right? The only way to stay alive and compete with Celsius was lower the rates you charge customers and increase what you're paying to your community, right? So I'm very excited that we tilted the whole community, the whole lending community, the whole interest income community from let's be a toll collector, let's grab as much as we can out of these guys who are holding these coins, to let's give them back as much as we can.
Okay, now can you walk through the mechanics for maybe people who have not used Celsius, just in terms of what's available, how people can use it, when they should use it?
Sure, yeah. So look, it's a very simple service. It's an app. You download it on Google or the App Store. It's a wallet. It allows you to store 25 different assets. It's comprised of 13 different blockchains, so like Ethereum, Bitcoin, Litecoin, and so on. 11 stable coins. So you can choose to, if you're afraid of Bitcoin, guess what? You can buy a stable coin that is pegged to the Canadian dollar, US dollar, British pound, Australian dollar, and so on, and earn high interest, right? So what does it mean, high interest? You can earn between 4 and 11%, depending which asset you have, and by just depositing these assets in the wallets. Instead of keeping it on Coinbase or keeping it on some other exchange or keeping it in cold storage, we use Prime Trust, BitGo, Fireblocks, all the best custodians. And at the same time, we create income by lending out the assets to institutions. And I'm happy to report that we had 0 defaults, we had 0 liquidations throughout this entire period. This was the ultimate test, right? And you've seen what happened to Maker, to other guys who...
Yes, man, it was crazy.
BitX, right? All the projects, all these guys who thought they were all high and mighty and everything was wonderful and poo-pooed, said, oh, Celsius, you're too centralized. Well, Maker just announced they're going to add some centralization to their system. So yeah. We have one leg in the decentralized world and we have one leg in the centralized world, because we're trying to build a bridge. All the money is still in the centralized world. You want to bring all that money into crypto? You better build a bridge. Creating your own world of DeFi where you don't have any bridges into the fiat world is not the way to bring the 7 billion people you're talking about into crypto and into decentralization.
Now, I think one of the things that really jumped out at me in terms of using Celsius is the stablecoin lending. So I've pulled up the site here. So, because this was during the crypto bear market of last year, probably the last few years, and I was thinking of doing stablecoin lending for Gemini dollar, DAI, because it's 9.9%, and Tether is 9.9%. So, as opposed to having your fiat US dollar in a bank account, it's possible to just have it on Celsius and then just earn 9% as opposed to having it in a savings account that gives you maybe 2%. So I found that very, very attractive. And then the other thing I really liked was you also had insurance. And as somebody who's trying to mitigate risk, I think your insurance fund was what with BitGo? How much is it? 100 million, something like that?
So we don't have insurance. Our custodians have insurance.
Yeah.
But let me just explain how all this works. So right now you have to take your dollars from your bank. You have to go, let's say, to Coinbase, buy USDC from them. When you give them your money actually goes to an FDIC insured account because they're a trust company. So they have to put your money into an FDIC account. So your dollars are sitting there. Then Coinbase issues you a token. It's an ERC20 token that is $1 per token, right? You deposit that with Celsius. Now Celsius has these tokens, and Celsius lends out the token and charges.
Okay, I think we lost you, Alex. You still there?
Waited a year,
Right.
right? Because you earn 10%.
Mm-hmm. Okay, just repeat the last statement.
Give you back $110.
Hello, Alex. Since we're having some technical issues with the VoIP.
The VoIP has a problem. Yeah.
Okay.
You can blame neutrality.
It's so good. Yeah. So just repeat the last 30 seconds or so. You said.
Sure. So I wanted to explain how the whole process works, and I'll talk about the insurance as well. So today, if you go to a bank and you just give them your money, they immediately lend it out, and they charge as high as 24%. But you can basically take that money, give it to a company like Coinbase, for example, that issues USDC, which is a stable coin, or Gemini that issues GUSD, and they actually put your money into an FDIC insured bank account. They're trust companies, they have to do that by law, right? So your money is safe, it's sitting with the government, or it's sitting in an insured account, and then those companies issues you a token. It's an ERC20 token, USDC or USDT, or TUSD, all the ones we support, those are the ones you can deposit into our wallet. We accept those tokens, we lend them out. Usually we will charge 12, 13, 14%. We give you 80% of that. You get to keep 80% of the profit. That is an amazing value proposition. The bank keeps 90% of the profit they make on your money. That's why they're only paying you 1%, because they make 10%, they keep 9% to themselves. So here, if you gave us 100 tokens, you waited a year, you're going to have 110 tokens at the end of the year. You take the 110 USDC, you go back to Coinbase, and they'll give you $110. You just made $10 on your $100. Now, while the coins are moving in and out, we lend them, they come back, we lend them. Sometimes we lend to as short periods as 1 day. Sometimes they're being lent for 30 days. So during that period, if they're in a hot wallet, that wallet has $10 million insurance, and that's fire block insurance. It's not our insurance.
How much? 10 million, you said?
Kept in cold storage, 10 million in the hot wallet.
Okay.
In the cold storage, if we put them in cold storage, if there's no demand, usually we'll move it to cold storage. And in cold storage, companies like Prime Trust or BitGo or others have between $100 and $125 million of insurance per account. So we never keep more than $100 million per cold storage account. We never keep more than $10 million in a hot wallet account.
So is that per Celsius account? I mean, per customer account or per company account?
It's per company account. We, for example, have over 200 accounts with BitGo.
Oh, wow.
Each account has that coverage. So we, just like with the bank, look, FDIC is not good for $1 million. It's only good for 200,000. So you have to make sure that you create separate accounts. So we did the same thing here to make sure that the insurance covers all of our transactions.
And I think that's why I was very drawn to Celsius, because I did research some other platforms. I researched Nexo and some others, but Celsius was the most reassuring one And just to kind of go not to poo-poo on Nexo, but I have a friend of mine who, let's call him a crypto whale. He had 6 figures worth of assets on Nexo, and during the whole Black Thursday last week, when Ether was down 40%, Bitcoin was down like 30%, he got liquidated, and they liquidated a lot more than they had in the contract. So I know Nexo has been dealing with some backlash from users who basically got upset based on what happened on Black Thursday. So how did Celsius handle that Black Thursday when the market tanked? Were people affected? Were people liquidated beyond what they anticipated? How did you guys handle that?
So again, we are a customer-centric organization. We always do everything in the best interest of our customers. And we offer our customers 3 options. One, you can return dollars or return coins and basically reduce the size of your loan. You can also give us more in collateral, and we accept all forms of collateral. So for example, many of our customers didn't have enough Bitcoin, but they gave us ETH or they gave us Litecoin. And the minute we have enough assets, because we want to secure the rest of our community, right?
Mm-hmm.
The risk is for the rest of the community. It's not a risk for Celsius. So we want to make sure that there's no losses for the rest of our community. And the third one, we actually enable people to buy coins through credit card right through the app. So if you're seeing you have a margin call, you can do that. But we never liquidate anyone without notifying you first, giving you an opportunity to pick between the 3 options and giving you time to take action, right? You don't just get a notice that you got liquidated, which is what people do on BitMEX or on Nexo and other platforms. So you are not going to find negative remarks about Celsius. You're going to find plenty of negative remarks about Nexo and other lenders who just don't act in the best interest of the community. They didn't create that service to earn more for the people or enable people to solve their financial problem. They created that as a toll collector to try to earn as much money as possible.
Yeah, I mean, because one thing somebody did tell me on Twitter was with Celsius, I think they send out emails every 12 hours, kind of giving you basically one day or maybe even more to put the collateral. That's correct, right? What's the time frame?
And look, we had a few liquidations, but those were people telling us, look, go ahead, liquidate enough to make sure that I'm not in a margin call anymore. Right, and we did those things early as well. You want to be liquidated at 6,500, not at 3,740, right? And part of the problem that you're seeing with other providers is that when they liquidate you, they magically pick the price that is the best for them, which leaves you with 0 coins, right? So we have full transparency. We're actually showing everybody what happened every minute. And we are profitable from lending to institutions. We're not profitable. I think we generated something like $34 from liquidation. I mean, it's like nothing. When you're earning millions of dollars a month, all of that comes from charging our institutions high interest rates and sharing that with our depositors. So we just have a very different business model, right? I mean. None of our competitors makes their money from that. They make their money from charging their customer fees, origination fees and termination fee, and an early withdrawal fee and liquidation fee, you name it. Celsius has never charged a customer a fee, right? We only share on their income. We share on the rewards that we earn on behalf of the community.
Okay. All right. Let's take some questions here from the audience and some comments. So Andrew says, Celsius is legit. Great returns. All right, thank you for sharing that, Andrew. Good morning, Crypto Niffler. Thanks for joining. So Crypto Ant, this is from YouTube. He's saying, what coins do you plan to add next to Celsius?
So if you download the Celsius wallet, we have a section in there that is the coins that are coming soon, and you can see everything that's there already. So I'll just do a quick. The internet still works. I think everybody is maxing out on their internet. Yes, if you look at the wallet and you go to the last section, you can see. So we have Algorand, Tron, Pax Gold, Saga.
Those are coins you're exploring, adding?
The coins that we're adding soon, right?
Oh, really?
So The last piece in the wallet allows you to see IOTA, Tether Gold, and so on. So we always, it's important people understand. It's not like we add coins we like and we don't add coins we don't like. And we add everything in our wallet yields, and it yields because it's proof of stake, or it's yielding because we can lend the assets and make return. So there are many projects, many coins that do not have demand, and because of that, we cannot lend them out. So we are trying to create income on many other projects, and we're working with these projects to basically enable that kind of cooperation. But some projects there's just no demand, so we cannot add them to the wallet.
Now, one thing I forgot to mention, I think Celsius doesn't take U.S. customers at the moment, correct?
It does, of course.
It does?
40% of our customers are from the United States,
Okay.
about 35% from Europe, and the rest is another 150 countries. So the U.S. is our largest customer base. What you cannot do in the U.S. is you can earn Bitcoin on your Bitcoin, but in the U.S. you cannot earn Cell token on your Bitcoin. That's the only thing.
That's it. Okay.
But everything else, U.S. users have access to every service. There are some restrictions. So, like for example, in the state of Texas, you're not allowed to use stablecoin, for example, because they deem stablecoins as currency. So there are all these little restrictions, and we're striving to stay fully compliant. It's very important for us to make sure that we comply with all the laws in all the countries where we operate. Unlike some of our competitors, who are like pirates in the middle of the night doing whatever they want. So
Right.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay, so hold on. So how do we access the token list again? I've pulled up the app here on my phone.
It's right on the main menu. If you go to the main menu to when you log in, or you look at your wallet, you'll be able to see the
coming soon.
And then all the way at the bottom, you'll see the what do you call it? You'll
coming
see
soon. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
it's
so
right on the main menu under your wallet.
We have Algorand, Tron, Paxo Gold, Saga. Haven't heard that one. BNB.
Saga is a great stablecoin. It's a basket. It's like SDR. It's a basket of fiat, and we're launching a great project with them. I really like that project.
Wow. So how do you determine the rates that you pay out for different coins? Is that based on different things?
Yeah. So you've seen other projects kind of advertise rates that have nothing to do with the market, right? They just decide, okay, I'm going to pay 6% on Bitcoin or whatever, right? And then they lower it because they got enough customers, so they just lower the rate. Celsius publishes a weekly rate. The rate has to do with what we earned last week. So you saw us ATC in the last 4 weeks because we've been earning more and more. Internet is good?
Yes, yeah.
So we've been increasing the rates on BTC because we were earning more, and then we have to raise the rate so we can continue paying 80% to the community. So when we earn more, the next week we say, here, we raise the rate by 25 basis points or by 50 basis points. While the Fed is lowering rates so you can earn less, we are raising rates.
So basically it's fixed at 80%. So as things go up and down, it kind of goes with that.
Well, it's based on how much we earn.
Yeah.
And look, most people think that when the Fed lower rates, it's good for them. It's not good for you. Your bank will pay you even less. So what you want is you want higher rates and you want to earn more on your deposits. And we're going to zero rates, just like Japan and Europe. We're going to have zero rates here in the United States. And what you as a saver or investor need to find are safe places to earn yield on your stable coins and on your crypto coins.
Okay, all right. So let's go back to the comments. Hey, Alice, great to have you here. DC says, when will Celsius have swapping exchange service within the app?
It's coming. Next version, you'll be able to swap through DEXs right inside the app, and you'll be able to also use ACH and SEPA to actually send us, make direct deposit of your dollars and convert them. We'll convert them for you into stable coins. So that's coming in the next version. I think it's delayed. It's probably, and we're looking at mid-April to get that in there.
Wow. So within the app, people will be able to switch different stablecoins or currencies.
No fees for any of these things. No fees for swapping, no fees for ACH to stablecoin, no fees for withdrawals. We're the only app in the world that does not charge fees either for deposit, for swapping, or for withdrawals. We subsidize that. It's not that it doesn't cost us money. We subsidize that because we make enough money on lending your assets that we can subsidize these services. We also have a service called SellPay. You can send coins to anyone on the planet. You don't even need to know their deposit address. You can use their WhatsApp or their email or their SMS, and we charge zero fees for that. So it's like Venmo or PayPal, but for crypto. And
so how does that work without having to like sending somebody money via WhatsApp? It sends them a link, or it sends them.
Yeah, exactly. It sends them a link, and only after they verify themselves and enter into the system, Celsius system, we do an internal transfer between your account and their account, and they're locked for 24 hours. So if you made a mistake, you can actually reverse the transaction because it still stays inside the Celsius cloud. Mm-hmm. So we created this in a way that guarantees that, oh my God, I sent the wrong person or I sent the wrong amount. You can always fix these things because you know what happens, right? If you send the wrong amount or the wrong person or you copied the wrong address, you cannot reverse that. But with Celsius, you can.
Okay, that's great. That's great.
SellPay. Try SellPay. My favorite service. One of our employees actually just got married, and I sent her wedding present through SellPay. So.
Oh, that's nice.
My favorite story.
Okay, all right. So more questions from the audience. Theo says, why do we want FDIC in a market like this? I thought crypto was freeing from the bank. Good question. Go ahead and comment first.
Look, I agree. The FDIC has never paid out, meaning when a bank like, let's say, Bear Stearns or Lehman or any of those guys got in trouble, the FDIC did not bail them out. The FDIC merged them, or the Fed merged them with the bigger bank, right? They merged them with JP Morgan, or they merged them with Barclays. So you are paying that insurance money, but you never get paid. Imagine if you did that in the real world. You always paid your insurance.
Wait, so they've never paid out Americans for...
Find me an instance where the FDIC paid retail American depositors any money. What they do is they merge a bad bank with a good bank, and they keep merging them. And when the problem gets to be too big, like in 2008, then they run to the taxpayers, right? They run to Congress and say, hey, we don't have enough money in the FDIC. Why don't you guys write us a check for $800 billion to bail us out? That was 2008. Right now, they're going to print between $4 and $5 trillion to bail out this coronavirus / collapse of the U.S. economy, right? So again, this is us. This is all of us, all Americans, reaching into the future, reaching into our children and grandchildren, and borrowing from them. All we're doing when we print $5 trillion is we're putting a debt. We're creating an IOU with our children and grandchildren because they're still going to have to repay that. And we're spending that money today to bail ourselves out so we can have our lattes and we can have our Amazon deliveries and we can live the life we can't afford because we're all living beyond our means. We all, basically, the last 10 years, since 2008, all of that GDP was done through debt and through basically financial engineering. And now we're paying the price for that. You know, so again, I don't want to sound too negative, but the opportunity here is not to continue and support that world. The opportunity, and it's a war between centralization and decentralization. The opportunity is to create a new system in which there is no leverage, there is no fractional reserve, there's no FDIC, where we only transact with each other because we earn that money and we can transact directly with the person who we need, not an intermediary, not a bank or a financial institution in the middle, right? Mm-hmm. Every day, every one of us uses a credit card or uses a bank, you're supporting centralization. And if you're not using self-pay, if you're not using some of these other services, you're not supporting decentralization. So we have to make the choices. We have to make the choices. Are we going to use the credit cards? Are we going to continue using the banks? The credit card guys are the guys that are charging you 24% per year in interest. Do you really want to support them?
Right.
So that's the critical decisions that we need to make. And our community, the crypto community, is just too small. We need to enlarge the community so we have a big enough base to survive this economic collapse. Because if we're not big enough, we're going to be swept away together with that economic collapse. We will not be an island on our own that can survive this, upcoming complete collapse of the American economy.
Now, I mean, my perspective is, I think half and half is good. I think we do need some kind of centralization. Unfortunately, I know the crypto community hates that word, but when wrong things happen, when bad things happen, it's good to have somebody to call and ask for help.
Well, I hear you.
Right.
And I got to show you a chart that will illustrate what I'm talking about. All right. So I posted this on my Twitter as well. And basically, look, the Fed has printed about $900 billion in 100 years. So since they were created, I think it was 1913 until 2013 or 2008, actually, they printed only $900 billion. Then in 10 years, they printed 3 times more or 4 times more than they printed in 100 years, right? And now they're going to print again more money than they printed ever in the complete history of the Fed. So the problem is, yes, we need a centralized Federal Reserve, but remember, the Federal Reserve is owned by the United States banks. Most people think it's owned by the government or it's part of whatever. No, the people that own the Fed are the banks, the U.S. banks. Like JP Morgan is probably the largest owner of the Federal Reserve, probably something like 12 or 13%, and so on. So the Fed is not here to help you. The Fed is here to help the banks who are the owners of the Fed. And if you don't believe what I'm saying, look it up. Go to Wikipedia and do a search of what the Fed is. The Fed's job is to keep low unemployment, and right, which is basically means there's not going to be a revolution. If there's low unemployment, there's not going to be a revolution. Everybody's going to make their $15 an hour, right? And at the same time, keep interest rates low, keep inflation low, which means the rich people are going to get their money for free.
Right.
The Fed lowered the rates to 0. Banks don't have to have any reserves as of yesterday. They used to have 10% in reserves. Now they have 0 in reserves.
Yeah, now it's nothing.
They can borrow money for free from the government, the Fed just printed, and then lend it out at 24% on the credit card and give you nothing for it. That is just lunacy that we're supporting that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with all of that. I think just to kind of chime in, I think what happened with MakerDAO, for example, is why I'm very scared about complete decentralization. That's why even they now are adding other centralized components. They added USDC as an asset, because for those who don't know, MakerDAO on Black Thursday, somebody was able to basically take $4 million for nothing because nobody was bidding on their auction, and I think issues like that, especially if DeFi is still young, is still nascent, and maybe there isn't insurance covering it. Now, I do know there are DeFi insurance options like Nexus Mutual and stuff like that, but it's still experimental. And when something is very experimental, I think we have to go slow and cautious.
Well, look, the Maker business model is wrong, because when everything is wonderful, right? Maker was piling in hundreds of millions of dollars of tokenizing ETH, and because of that, there was a disparity between the number of borrowers and the number of lenders. So as a borrower, you paid high interest, 14 or 16%, but as a lender, you only earned 3 or 4%, and the stability fee was 9%. So that's not a good business model, because like in Celsius, no matter how many people are buying or selling or borrowing or lending, you always make 80% of what we charge the other side. That is not the case with DeFi. So the DeFi business model doesn't work when things are great, And it doesn't work when things are horrible, because when things are horrible, meaning the price of ETH is dropping, the maker is helping that by liquidating quickly many of their customers and forcing selling ETH into the market and collapsing that market. Think about what the Fed does. When the Fed sees a market collapsing like right now, it does the opposite of what maker does. It does not flood the market with more liquidations. It goes into market. The Fed just bought $500 billion worth of assets because no one else would buy. So the entire maker business model, the DeFi business, and I've been saying this for a long time. You know, this is not something new. You can go online and see me saying this about DeFi a year ago and 2 years ago. So we need to rethink the DeFi model, right? And again, Celsius created a model that works like this versus works like this, right? It basically enables all of us to benefit when rates are high. We're charging for the risk. We're charging people a lot, and it goes to the people who risk their assets, who kept their assets with Celsius. So we are absorbing that risk and converting that into yield with our customers. That's why the yield on Bitcoin is as high as 7 or 8% for people who are earning and selling. So all I'm saying is that I agree with what you're saying, but the way it was constructed is wrong. It's not that DeFi is not working. It's Maker that's not working. Their business model is wrong.
Okay, I think well said. Well said. So some more comments and questions from the audience. Some people are asking when Binance, but I know that we can't really talk about exchange listings here. I mean, so to people who are saying HODLing isn't a good strategy, I think it depends. Everybody's different. I mean, long-term investors always win out, right? There's enough academic data on that to show that long-term investors typically perform well, especially if you take the fact that most traders or speculators lose money. Now, with that being said, I think even speculators or traders should have a portfolio that they HODL. And I think having lending or earning interest on your assets that you aren't speculating on is a good strategy for anybody out there. Okay, so next question here.
I would just add to that. I agree with you 100%. That at 16,000, everybody wants to HODL, but at 3,000, no one wants to HODL. And what you should do is exactly the opposite. You should HODL at 3,000 and not HODL at 16,000. So we've been wearing the same shirts for 3 years now. We've been saying the same thing. Again, you can never time the market. And the lower the price goes, the more you need to HODL. That's my philosophy, and I think you're saying the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think smart investors buy when everybody else is selling. That's when you get the best bargains, and then that's when you HODL and maybe even earn interest on those bargains you get.
Blood's on the streets right now. You know that now is the time to accumulate. Now is the time to HODL.
Okay. All right. So next question from Alex: paycheck direct deposits as well. I think you talked about this, right? You're adding ACH.
We worked on it. There are very few services today that enable that, but we will be adding it. So I think it's more like May or June, but it's coming soon.
Okay.
First half of this year, you'll be able to direct your paycheck straight into Celsius.
All right. Next question: when is debit and credit card for everyday purchases coming to Celsius?
So you heard me before. I think that debit cards are a way to enable the banking system, support the banking system. These are people who are stealing from you every day, right? These are people who are toll collectors, right? The 4 largest banks in the United States charge the poorest Americans $34 billion in fees, just overdraft fees, not banking, not checking fees, not interest payments, just overdraft fees. 34 billion last year of the poorest 100 million Americans. Do you want to support that? Do you want me to give you a Visa card that pays for that? I don't want to do that. So we are building a decentralized blockchain-based solutions that are going to give you the same capabilities. You'll be able to shop on Amazon. You'll be able to buy groceries in your store, but we're going to bypass the Visa and MasterCard system, which relies on all the banks. Again, Visa is issued by banks. It's not issued by Visa. Every card that you have is issued by a bank. So I'm here to unbank you, help you unbank. I'm here to help take you into this MOIP world, money over IP. And if I if I give you a credit card, I'm not doing that. So that's why I'm resistant, even though, again, some of our competitors are touting their great credit cards and their whatever. All they're doing is giving money to the banks. What we do is we give Bitcoin and Ethereum to all of our users every week. Every Monday, you get more Bitcoin, more Ethereum in your wallet. What do you want? Which one do you prefer?
Mm-hmm. More. More is better. Okay. Next question. Still there, Alex?
Yes.
Okay. Next question from the audience. Do you have any plans to hire in the European Union?
We have multiple employees. We have 26 people in Belgrade. We have a few people in Berlin. We have people in London. We have 12 employees in Israel. So we have plenty of people in Europe and the Middle East. We are always hiring. If you're a great talent, send me an email, alex@mashinsky.com, my last name, and I'm happy to take a look at your resume.
All right. That sounds great. Next question from Crypto Niffler. Thanks for the exciting updates. Just have to ask, is this the place to be to pick up the second clue for the St. Patrick Day treasure hunt? Thanks.
We're running a promotion today, and no, you have to find it, I think, on our website. If you go to Celsius.network, the clues are on the website. So just go to the website and figure it out.
All right.
They thought that we planted them on your AMA. So.
Okay. Let me see. Next question here. Okay, I think we kind of answered this. Dragspirit is saying, how do you protect and guarantee our crypto on Celsius platform? I think we kind of covered this with the custodians having insurance.
I would just add that really it's all about risk management. We have 225 institutions that we work with. We don't lend to retail, so we don't lend to the average Joe. We lend to institutions. And we always ask them for collateral. So we always ask them to give us dollars or pounds or whatever when we lend them Bitcoin or when we lend them Ethereum.
Okay. All right. Next question. Summer Lilies wants to kind of learn more about how Celsius actually works. So she says, do you send your crypto to the platform to lend? And then what are the guarantees? What is the duration of the loan?
So yes, you put basically when you give us your Bitcoin, you're putting your Bitcoin together in a pool with all the other Bitcoin. So we have a giant pool of Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin goes out and earns interest. That's why you can withdraw at any time. You can send us Bitcoin in the morning, change your mind in the afternoon. There's no lockup. It's not like we're lending your Bitcoin to somebody and you have to wait until that loan expires. We put it in a giant pool. The pool earns money. Whatever the pool earn, if you're 1% of the pool, on Monday, you're going to get 1% of the earnings of the pool. You understand? So we basically take the money we earn and 80% of it we send out every Monday. It goes out to all the community, pro rata, based on how much Bitcoin you have.
Now, that money in the pool is used for what? It's used for lending?
It's used for lending.
For like margin or whatever?
Assets as well. So if we need dollars, we will borrow dollars against the Bitcoin and we will issue dollar loans. Because some of our community members come to us and say, here's Bitcoin, give me dollars as a loan. So we need to borrow dollars to lend them out and so on. So we either borrow from people who give us USDC, for example, or we borrow from banks or other financial institutions, and we use that to lend dollars. But any person can withdraw their assets at any time. Because we don't use fractional reserves, because we don't use leverage, Celsius always have more assets than loans. What's happening right now, where banks were running out of money because everybody, like Boeing, just went and drew $18 billion in a credit line immediately, right? Everybody's throwing money out of the banks. The banks ran out of money. So they went crying to the Fed saying, gosh, print more money. We need more. We overcommitted ourselves. We lent out 10 times as much money as we actually have in the bank. And all these people are asking for their money back. So the Fed threw $500 billion at them. And then the repo, it started with the repo market about 2 months ago. That was the first earthquake, right? No one would lend the money. No one would lend the banks money, just like what happened with Maker, right? The same thing happened with banks two months ago, and it's happening again and again. Every day, the Fed is to jump in into the repo market, into the commercial paper market, and flood those markets with cash to make sure that all the people who want to withdraw or draw down on their letters of credit or on their lines of credit have the money that they need. Celsius never has that problem because our business model is designed on zero leverage. It's designed on always having more assets and loans, and we're showing that we can earn higher yields than banks. We pay out higher yields than banks without taking all that risk. You see, the problem most people don't understand, when JP Morgan earns 18% of their money and they're paying you less than 1%, all that profit is going to the shareholders in form of dividends and stock buybacks and everything else. It does not reach you, the depositor. Meanwhile, you created all the value for JP Morgan. It's your dollars. So that's why I'm so angry and so frustrated that most people still get paid and give their money to the banks, to the same people who are stealing from you every day. They just do an excellent job stealing. They're hiding it so good. You know, JP Morgan earned $36 billion in profit last year. 36 billion, almost all of that went to their shareholders. How much did you get? Any of you got a check from JP Morgan saying, thank you, look how profitable we are. Here's $100, here's $500. You'll never see that. Greed is killing this country, killing it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. So next question from the audience, Summer again. She says, she's not American. How do you handle taxes?
So each country has its own tax regime. I can tell you, for example, in Germany is the best tax law. If you earn interest with Celsius and you keep it for a year, I think you don't have to pay taxes in Germany. But in the United States, the IRS says we don't care. You kept it for 1 day, for a year, for 10 years, you pay us the tax that you owe us. So you have to check the rules in your own country. We don't provide tax advice. We just help you earn, and then you have to consult your tax advisor to figure out what's the rules, your local rules in your local country.
Now, in the US, do you issue any kind of like report, whether 1099 or some kind of?
We issue a 1099. We just issued a few weeks ago for 2019, and that's why we're asking you for Social Security, because you're going to earn money, and we have to report that by law. And look, we do full KYC, we do full AML, we ask you for Social Security. That is a high bar. A lot of people, when they get to that part of the app, they say, hey, I'm not giving you all this information. I'm going to go to some offshore app that doesn't ask me any questions, and they think that is safer. That is not safer.
Definitely not safer.
More risky. As Ian said, his friend just lost a lot of money because he used that offshore company that doesn't ask you any questions. Doesn't issue a 1099. Doesn't, again, pirates in the middle of the night.
Yeah, doing business with pirates. You should definitely do due diligence and reassess everything. Okay, next question. Alex is asking, where did the name Celsius come from?
I can't take credit for it. We had a 20-year-old intern in our office who Daniel and I, my co-founder, we were sitting across the table coming up with names. This was, I think, June or July of 2017. And he kept shaking his head. And I looked at him and I said, don't shake your hand. If you have a better idea, tell me what it is. And he was like, Celsius. I'm like, what? Celsius. I'm like, sold. We'll take that name. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, people say it's a hot commodity, whatever. But, you know, it's just a name that's stuck and people love it. And the Celsius network stands on its own legs, you know?
That's good. That's good. Okay, so let's see if we have any other questions here. Sam is asking, what kind of people are you hiring in Berlin? But I think we can just make the question general. What kind of people are you hiring?
So our rule in the company is 3 of our female employees have to like you, meaning you have to appreciate that you are fitting the culture and the mission of Celsius. Half of our employees are female, and we want to make sure that, again, the crypto community is 95% men. No. So if you're a female, you have a better chance of getting hired at Celsius than if you're a man, actually. And the second requirement is that you know something about crypto more than we do. So you have to show up with a skill set that is better than what we have in the company. And that's why we're going to hire you, because you're going to be adding skills into the Celsius community and the Celsius network. So you have to, when you reach out and you say, hey, why don't you hire me? You have to tell us why you think what is the skill set that you have that we need. Like Ian, if Ian applied, I know for sure that he would say, hey, I can pick the best pup out of a litter. I know who's going to be the most successful guy in the future. So we would hire him in a second.
Thank you. Okay, next question here. This is from John. He's saying, I have BTC as collateral and borrowed some US dollar. Can I deposit US dollar back to lower my loan amount?
Yes, there's no penalties. There's no early withdrawals. At any time, if you want to return, remember what happens is that when you take a loan, your coins are not earning interest. So you want to return dollars. If you're not doing anything with them or they're not earning a lot of money, return them so your coins can start earning interest again, because it's one or the other. You can't use both at the same time.
Okay, all right. Next question here. In France, it's 30% flat tax. I would like to know if you directly hold...
No. France has a new law that as long as if you go from Bitcoin to Ethereum to Litecoin to whatever, there's no tax. There's only tax, 30% tax when you go into fiat. But if you keep all your earnings in crypto, including stablecoins, meaning you can go from Bitcoin to USDC, and that is not a taxable event in France. It is a taxable event in the United States.
Okay, now they're also going to say...
Best tax law in the world is in France.
So they want to know whether if they directly hold the tax for the returns they get, or they manage it after they receive the payment.
We do not withhold taxes. You have to self-report in the countries where we are obligated to report, like in the United States, we issue these forms like a 1099. But in France, we do not withhold. I know what he's asking. Basically, we're not a French company, so I don't think we need to be...
Now, just to rephrase her question, I think she's asking that, let's say they're going to get 8% annually. Do they pay taxes after they've earned the interest, or do they kind of start paying before they even get paid, if that makes sense? But probably a question for a tax expert.
Yeah, I'm not a tax expert, but you pay usually at the end of the year. So you have to do your own taxes, meaning you say, I earn this much from Celsius, $100. I'm going to pay $30 to the government. Okay.
Next question from Graham. What if our Celsius mobile wallet is hacked and all our crypto is stolen? Will we be covered?
So first, your crypto is not really sitting in your app. And we have many procedures that make sure that even if you get hacked, somebody impersonated you and they managed to get your password and everything else, there's still many thresholds that they need to break to be able to withdraw your coins. Your coins are actually sitting with a custodian. They're not sitting with us. They're sitting in custody, or they're lent out. So the only way a person can steal your coins if they pretend to be you, and they know all of the information about you. So obviously don't keep your passport and a picture of your passport and a video of you saying, hey, I authorized to withdraw 10 Bitcoin from my account all in one place, because these are kind of the things that we require. We require a video of you authorizing that withdrawal, right? So if the person doesn't have it, great, they can break into the app, they can do all that stuff, but they won't be able to actually withdraw it out. So nothing will happen if you lost your phone, you just get a new phone, you log into the app, and the money is still there.
All right. Okay. We also have some questions we typically like to ask our guests when they come on the show. So think of this as kind of not quite the hot seat, but just questions we like to learn more about you. So first question, what are 3 books that have inspired and changed your life?
So I'm not a big book reader. I'm a little dyslexic, so I'm more of a video guy than a book guy. But I read the autobiography of Nikola Tesla. That's an amazing story. He's one of my heroes. And also a book about Albert Einstein, about how he came up with the whole theory of relativity. Don't remember the author's name, but that's kind of like, these are people that kind of changed our thinking about what the world is like. And Ray Dalio is a great, he has a book that he just published, which is available for free, which is Principles. And you can, again, if you're like me and you want to watch it as a video, it's available also as a video on YouTube, I think. So,
great video, by the way. Great video. I think it's over an hour and a half long, and it's very, very good. I definitely recommend all the investors out there to go through and watch that video on YouTube. Anyway, go on.
Yes. So I'm saying that those are 3 books that I like. I don't read fiction or novels or things like that. I'm techie, I'm a tech geek. So most of what I read about is tech related stuff, programming, business, finance, things like that.
Now, your background is in programming as a developer?
So I was actually a hacker. I was a black hat in my teens, and I got caught hacking into the phone company in Israel, and luckily I turned into a white hat. So I did some counterintelligence stuff in the military and other things, and then I started 7 tech companies, right? For example, before Celsius, I was CEO of Novatel Wireless. It's a public company in San Diego that launched the first 5G device in the United States for Verizon. So I can explain to you 5G down to the wave pattern. So I love technology, and again, like I was saying before, that's why it was so hard for me to accept and understand Bitcoin, because it was so slow and so intentionally slow, intentionally decentralized, intentionally consuming tremendous amount of power to create that friction at people being able to break the chain and things like that. And that it is just like Einstein. It's so different in thinking that you have to read it sometimes 3 or 4 times just to understand what this is all about. But the minute you get it, your world goes boof, and you can never go back, So until Bitcoin, we didn't have a solution, right? So bitching about the banks was completely useless. But we have a solution. All we have to do is build a bridge and bring, like I said in our ICO, bring 100 million people from the fiat world to the crypto world, and then everybody else will join, because they'll see, wow, look, all these guys are earning, and all these guys are doing great. The model is scalable, it's working great. Why are we, just like we used to pay the phone company $3 a minute, right? It's lunacy to think about it today. Why are you paying your bank these crazy fees? Why? So that's the people I don't understand,
Now, next question, I think you may have already answered. Who are, besides family and friends, who are 3 people in history that inspire you?
Well, I mentioned 2 of them. So Nikola Tesla is definitely my big hero. He invented most of the civilization we live in today: wireless, alternating currents. Right? We wouldn't have electricity. We wouldn't have wireless communication. Imagine the world without those 2 things. Right?
Yeah.
Just right there. Stop. Don't
Stone
talk
Age.
about anything else. So he is my hero. And other people that I admire from history, I think like people that really survive major like catastrophic event, like Winston Churchill, for example, is a great example of somebody who basically helped the whole nation get through one of the toughest times in history and survived this onslaught of the Germans and everything else. And they were running on fumes, right? So it was the tenacity and the power of one person that kind of helped get everybody to do their best. And we're going to face that here in the United States. When you start seeing people dying from coronavirus and you start realizing, gosh, I might be next, fear is going to overtake all of us. And these are the times where our heroes and our leaders have to shine and have to come through and help us through this process, right? And we're all going to be tested. Are we the heroes, or are we the people who are scared and ran away? people say to me, "Oh my God, Alex, why are you in New York City? Go, you have a house in the hills. Go hide over there." And I'm like, "No, that's not what the leaders do. They don't hide. The opposite. That's what I'm trying to communicate every day, help people through this, and we all have to be strong. We have no idea. No one has a clue who's going to get hurt by this virus and who's going to survive it. I just heard a story about a bunch of people who were skiing together. The 84, they all got infected. There's, I think, 11 of them. The 84-year-old is the only guy who didn't have to go to the hospital. Everybody else ended up in the hospital. One guy passed away. So if you think that because you're young, you're going to make it, or because you're old, you're going to die, this virus has not existed in 4.5 billion years, and it can mutate. Meaning, whatever solution or medicine we're going to get may be completely irrelevant, because the RNA inside this virus can merge with another RNA inside your body and create a virus that never existed before and kill you, and kill all the people next. So just let's all be,
Okay. I think
careful.
Looks like we might have some breaking news here, because I see in the background Trump is speaking on your TV, and I see here on Bloomberg, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin says the administration is pushing to send relief checks directly to Americans within 2 weeks. Wow.
Yeah, and they're gonna
UBI, basically.
Yeah, if you owe money to the IRS, they're gonna defer that, so you're not gonna have to make your payments. And
I think that's great news to some people, to lots of people.
Look, in Hong Kong, the government already sent 10,000 Hong Kong dollars to everybody, because everybody was basically in their homes for a whole month. And we're going to have to do that again and again. I mean, especially people who live paycheck to paycheck. More than half of Americans don't have $500 in case of emergency. This is an emergency. All these people are going to get affected, right? So what are we doing for them? So I'm happy to see the administration and other people.
Now the question, now this gets me thinking, how does the government do this? Do they just mail everybody they have on file who's over 18? What if families have children? This has me very, very intrigued. I'll have to check more into this.
We'll see what they do, but we're going to need a lot of it. We're going to need helicopter money, to keep this going until we see where we are with the virus. Look, we're going to recover, right? A lot of this will become pent-up demand, right? And when people go back to normal, they're still going to go back and use all the services that we had before. But many companies will perish. Many services will perish, including companies in the crypto community. So all of you, everybody who's watching, you have to decide who you're supporting and who you're not supporting. Because if you're supporting the companies that you think are doing good for you, now is the time to continue supporting them, because they're not going to survive without your help. They're not going to survive without your support. And that's very, very important, that we keep the good companies, the ones that are here to help the community thrive and get through this and become stronger.
All right. So last question we ask our audience. What are 3 actions you took in your life that transformed your life? Just kind of going back, what 3 actions really kind of took you to the next level?
So coming to the United States was probably one of the critical decisions. Again, I was born in communism in the Ukraine. I grew up in socialism in Israel, and I just felt that I had to find a new home. So coming to the U.S.
How old were you when you came?
I was 22 when I came to New York.
Oh wow! Okay.
And the second most important decision, I think it was my second or third company where I just couldn't get it going right. I didn't know what I was doing wrong. And finally, I had a VC come to me and say, look, I'll take half of your company, but I'll teach you how to do everything right. And I took their money, right? I basically said, fine, I don't care how much the dilution is. Let me learn the ropes with the best people out there. And actually had several offers. There's a Harvard business case about that, actually, about Arbinet and my selection of the lowest term sheet. So basically I had 3 term sheets, and I took money from the guy that gave me the worst valuation, not the best valuation, because he was the best VC and he was willing to invest time in teaching me the ropes and helping me out. And that was Arbinet. That was a company that created voice over IP and changed the world. and we raised over $350 million. We went public on NASDAQ. The company was worth over $1 billion. So sometimes giving is receiving. And I feel we're in the same moment right now. Right now, this is all about, it's not about money. No, it's not about surviving. It's about, you're judged right now. Did you put your family first? Did you help the people that are hurting? Did you do anything in this time of sorrow and in this hardship? Or did you hide and hope that the storm will pass you by and that you will survive? So these hard times are the ones separating the leaders from the non-leaders. And I invite everyone who's watching this to be a leader and help somebody, because there are people hurting right next to you, in the house next to you, in the apartment next to you, on the streets. And they're not going to get that help fast enough. Even that, all those checks, the homeless people on the street don't have a mailbox to go and get their checks from. Mm-hmm. So just remember all the other people. Okay, I came to this country with $100. Okay, and I had several times that I lost it all. So I'm not talking about it from my palace in the sky. I've been there several times, where I lost everything, and I'm trying to help as many people as possible, both through Celsius by saving them all this money or enabling them to do things they can't, and also obviously we're active with a bunch of different communities. But so these are you ask who influenced me the most right now. The virus. I can tell you that the virus. I'm not sleeping at night thinking, okay, what can I do? How can I do this better? How can we help more people? Because this is, our grandchildren are going to be asking us about, well, where were you when the coronavirus hit? What did you do?
All right. Well, I think that pretty much concludes the show. Alex, it was great having you on. It was a pleasure. Where can people learn more about Celsius and your company, your team, yourself? Where can they follow you?
So we are on Telegram, Celsius Network, Twitter, Celsius Network. Website is www.celsius.network. Again, download the app, try it out. Use CellPay. Just send. A great way to say thank you or to help other people is to send. You can send them stable coins, right? They can earn money on that. And you can send them Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything you have, and it's instant, right? It's immediately there to anyone on the planet, right? Even people that have never heard of crypto. So these are the things that I think help bridge the divide, help people who need help. And you don't need to go to the bank. You don't need to do a wire transfer. You don't need to go to Western Union. And be the best you can be.
And then, if anybody wants to know which cryptocurrencies are probably better to use as assets in Celsius, we definitely recommend you check out tokenmetrics.com. We're giving out 10% off to anybody who signs up. Use the coupon code CryptoFamily, all caps, one letter, to get 10% off lifetime discount on Tokenmetrics, where we provide ratings and analysis on cryptocurrencies. So with that being said, if you like this video...
I strongly endorse Ian's skills, okay? So
thank you, Alex.
Having known you for several years, you're a man of your word, and I definitely think if there's anyone out there that you should listen to, I watch your show, I watch your updates, and you definitely always teach me something. So
right.
I want to thank what you're doing for the community.
All right, and if you like this show, be sure to subscribe, like, and share this video with your friends, anybody out there. In times like this is really when crypto is needed. And being able to earn interest on your assets is very, very attractive, especially in a bear market and recession. So I highly encourage you guys to definitely check out Celsius. This has not been a paid review or video. This is just me bringing somebody on, I think, who brings value and is building something big. I mean, because how many assets do you have on Celsius?
We do 25 right now, and we have another 10 that are coming on soon.
No, I mean like amount. I think you have over 100 million.
We reported in February 650 million in AUM, in assets under management.
Yeah, so over $500 million, basically, assets under management. So I think that definitely shows you what people think about the company. All right, with that being said, thank you, everybody. Until next time, take care. Bye.
Tokemetrics is a cryptocurrency investment platform that helps users leverage machine learning to become better crypto investors. Our in-depth analysis helps eliminate the emotions of investing, find profitable investment opportunities, and filters out scams. Learn more at tokemetrics.com.